For centuries, mankind has asked the question, do ghosts exist? Skeptics would likely say no, while the more open-minded believe there is too much evidence out there to make this claim. In this video, we take a look at 5 scary paranormal sightings caught on camera. Number 5. The Magnolia Hotel Haunting. In South Texas, at the Magnolia Hotel, something haunting and unexplainable was captured in the hotel's Campbell room during the early hours of the morning. Look to the left of the screen and you will see a strange black mist collecting before sweeping past the camera as it morphs into a white cloud. The cloud of mist then moves around the room before vanishing. 10 minutes pass before the mist returns for one final rotation of the room, and then vanishes, never to be seen again. Guests of the hotel noted other paranormal events, though none have been captured on video. The creepiest part of this story comes when learning the history of the Campbell room itself, so named because Texas Ranger James Campbell was murdered by Comanches in the 1840s in this very location, when it stood as a 2-room cabin. Could this be his ghost? Number 4. Ghost Dad. A young woman appears to be in a daze as she stumbles onto the main road in front of oncoming traffic. While the first car manages to swerve out the way, the second is on a collision course. That is until a ghostly figure shoots past, picking up the girl and dropping her safely at the other side of the road. The figure is gone within seconds of entering the frame and seems to teleport. This incredible footage is said to be an apparition of the girl's father, who passed away years earlier. Number 3. The Gettysburg Ghost. In 2001, Tom and Delilah Underwood visited the Gettysburg battlefield and recorded this spooky footage.
Can't be the motorcycles, honey. There's nothing sparkling. You see what I'm saying?
What's that? What is that?
Tree.
No. You moved it, right? Right there. See it?
Uh-huh.
Many consider this footage to be some of the most compelling evidence for the existence of ghosts out there. At the tree line is a flat bank leading to a vertical 10 feet drop. Despite this, we catch glimpses of ghostly figures resembling Confederate soldiers seemingly making their way up and over the hill. Once again, the ground here is flat and results in a sheer drop. It appears these may be the ghosts of fallen soldiers from the American Civil War, as they made their way over the ridge 150 years earlier. Number 2. Malaysian Hospital Haunting. Surveillance footage from a hospital in Malaysia picked up something highly distressing: a ghost attack on a member of staff. First, in a waiting room, a chair is rotated and a door slammed shut. As you can see, no one is around to tamper with them. The spirit then moves to a separate room, where a girl sits alone. The ghost gets her attention by moving a chair. Freaking out, the girl attempts to flee the room, but it is blocked by a torrent of flying tables and chairs. Desperately, the girl backs away and appears to be knocked out by the spirit as she abruptly falls to the floor. This footage has never been successfully debunked or explained. Number 1. Man attacked by ghost in hallway. This final clip is perhaps the most disturbing of all. A man walks down a corridor at night, only to be confronted by a ghostly figure which appears before him and promptly begins to grab his leg and drag him kicking and screaming to the end of a hall before releasing him. This footage is especially creepy as we can see from the way the man's leg is raised and his arms flail that he is literally being dragged by a paranormal entity. Either that or a very convincing hoax. And that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe for more horror related
Hey, I'm Rebecca. And even though I'm only 18, I already have 4 kids. Hard to believe, right? Well, here's how it happened. Me and my boyfriend Dean had our first time when we were 17. We were young and stupid, and a few weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Of course, I was shocked, but to be honest, I was also a bit happy about it. Because I always wanted to have kids, and I loved Dean so much. We had the perfect relationship, and I thought we would stay together for the rest of our lives. So, when the pregnancy test came out positive, I immediately went over to Dean's house to tell him about it. Unfortunately, he wasn't nearly as excited as I was. He started crying and said, "That's it! My life is over! My parents will never talk to me again!" Oh, Jesus. What a wuss. And to make things worse, Dean broke up with me that day because he said he wasn't ready for a long-term relationship. In that moment, I just wanted to break down and cry, but I knew I had to be strong. And at least I had my family to support me, right? Nope. When I told them I was pregnant, they got so mad. They said I had to learn to take responsibility for my mistakes and raise my kids on my own. I was devastated. I always thought a family is there to support and care about you, especially during hard times. But that wasn't the case with my parents. At the first appointment with my doctor, I told him I was 3 months pregnant. But then he started to laugh at me, saying my stomach was way too big and that I had to be at least 5 months pregnant. He treated me like a stupid little girl. But when he did an ultrasound, he went pale and said, "This is incredible! You're carrying 4 babies! You're having quadruplets!" I thought he was kidding me. But then he turned the monitor so I could see, and there were definitely 4 babies. Apparently, it's very rare to conceive quadruplets naturally, but it happens. Well, I almost had a panic attack, because how was I supposed to raise 4 little babies without my parents' support and my ex-boyfriend acting like a baby himself? Well, my babies were born by C-section on my 18th birthday, because the doctor said it would be too dangerous to try for a natural birth. But the moment I saw my 4 daughters, I fell in love. They were perfect. And Dean came to see me in the hospital and said he wanted us to try again. At first, he was a great dad. Every day after school, he'd come to my home to help with our babies. But as time went on, he started making excuses that it was too stressful, and now I haven't seen him in 3 weeks. I guess our relationship is over. He's just too immature to take responsibility. He'd rather play video games than take care of his own kids. I don't even know what I ever saw in him. He was always irresponsible and never made any plans for his future. Now that I have quadruplets, it's impossible to go anywhere without people stopping me every 5 minutes to talk about them. People are always asking if my babies are natural. And one guy once asked what I'd done in my previous life to end up with quadruplets. Ugh, what a jerk. However, the worst thing is that my daughters are growing up without a father. For months, I hoped Dean would call to say sorry for running away, but he never did. I guess it's easier for a guy to leave his family than it is for a girl, because I could never abandon my 4 babies. But I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me, because I'm very lucky. After my kids were born, my parents changed their minds, and now they really love their granddaughters. My mom even quit her job to look after them while I go to college to get a degree. My babies have brought our whole family much closer together. And it's so cute seeing my dad singing songs to them or mom playing peekaboo. One last thing. Please don't think raising a baby is easy. It's not. And I've got 4 of them. Even though they're almost 1, they still don't sleep through the night. So I never get more than 5 hours sleep. And changing diapers for 4 babies isn't exactly fun either. The biggest surprise was how expensive it is to have babies. Currently, I'm spending $700 on each baby per month. That's $2,800 in total, just for my daughters. That's also why my parents made me get a weekend job so I could contribute financially. But it only pays $200 a week. And if it wasn't for my parents helping me, I wasn't sure how I could survive this. I mean, I'm still waiting for Dean to get a job so he can finally start paying child support. If he won't spend time with his girls, he should at least pay some of their expenses. It's not fair my family has to do everything. Still, even if Dean isn't there for his children, I'm stunned by how many people have helped me. My uncle even flew over from Europe all the way to America just to see my little babies. And he had some very generous gifts for me and my kids. This story is a big thank you to my family. You were there for me when I needed you most. Even though at first it was hard for my parents to accept that their 17-year-old daughter was pregnant, they overcame their issues and have been the best grandparents ever. I love you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel.
Wasn't getting paid to go in them, I wouldn't be going in them at night.
350 high, Russell House.
Is what?
That's definitely the most creepiest.
When you go inside, it's just old and the floors squeak and the eyes on the pictures on the wall follow you. It's just creepy. Everything makes noise in there, but no one's in there.
Every public safety officer has had experiences in Russell House. Only 2 agreed to talk on camera.
The first night I had to go down in the basement, and while I'm in the basement, I hear all the noises upstairs, and I know for sure I was the only one in the building.
Sometimes you hear footsteps going up the stairs, but you're the only person in the building.
And then you'll stop to make sure, you're not freaking out, that it's not your footsteps echoing, but no, you'll hear like another 3, 4, 5 more footsteps.
When I set the alarm, if somebody was in there, the alarm would go off. And there's been many nights that I've heard things that sound like a person, but the alarm never goes off.
One time I tried to, test my nerve and, say, was anyone here? And I just only heard something fall. So ever since that day, I haven't done that. I just go there and do what I have to do and try to get out.
The Samuel Russell House is a National Historic Landmark, built between 1828 and 1830 for Samuel Russell, a sea trader who founded Russell and Company, a firm to export goods from China and India. A central figure in China trade, his fast clipper ships outran English merchantmen and pirates on the China Sea. Since then, the Russell House has had many lives. Several generations of the Russell family lived in the house until it was gifted to Wesleyan University in 1937. It served as Wesleyan's Honors College and currently an administrative building. It is also speculated, but not proven, that the house was a stop on the Underground Railroad. It is over 180 years old. Over the years, there have been several accounts of voices, shadows, footsteps, and apparitions appearing to faculty, staff, and public safety officers. In response to these claims, we contacted the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigations, or TSPI, to take a closer look at the house.
We're here to provide something tangible to people, something to validate their personal experiences. Well, I'm really excited to investigate the Russell House.
For us, the biggest thing is to help people.
I think the one thing that people should know about our group is we're not for flash. We try to take a scientific approach to everything.
People that are in fear of the paranormal or don't know how to handle the paranormal or don't know what they're feeling at all, we come in and try to give them some sense of comfort.
What we do specifically when we investigate is we go into an area, we take base readings, we set up all of our camera equipment with night shot on it so we can see in the dark. We have digital voice recorders and we use digital cameras, other handheld video cameras, plus we also take EMF readings, temperature readings.
On Monday, October 20th, 2014, 3 members of TSPI and 2 members of Wesleyan's staff spent the night at Russell House. The following is the result of the investigation. Throughout the night, TSPI cameras were knocked down and turned in rooms where no one was present. Footsteps were recorded and no one was walking through the building.
Oh my God. I just heard some footsteps.
Audio pollution was recorded while the team was in the basement.
We would really like it if you did some things for us.
Crap. You heard that knock? Right before the loud noise?
Mm-hmm.
Can you make a noise similar to that? That's right. We never get this kind of interference with our radio, so that's a good point.
Really?
Never.
Despite the evidence collected that night, we can neither confirm nor deny the presence of the paranormal.
The campus is old. The color of the bricks doesn't help. It just looks like Halloween every night on campus.
I think Russell House stands alone. I don't mind the other buildings too much. Maybe a little bit of Olin, but Olin's so big, I really think it's just the echoes, especially when you're walking in the stacks and things like that. But Russell House stands alone.
Many questions still remain. All we can do is savor the ambiguity and listen when others are asleep.
Welcome to Chryslerville, built in 1885. Welcome to Chryslerville, built in 1885.
It was once a small factory town in the New York City borough of Staten Island, but there are few remnants of the neighborhood then known as Chryslerville. A street sign, a big house on a hill, and possibly the spirits of the people who lived there.
We have heard moans and groans, doors shutting. We will actually hear furniture moving around upstairs sometimes, footsteps.
Visitors have reported mysterious sounds and sightings at the house throughout the years. But who could be haunting this place?
Well, Balthasar Kreischer built this town. Balthasar was German. He comes to New York in the 1840s. New York City was built of wooden houses, and they were burning down. And he was in the stone business in Germany. He opened his factory here in the 1850s and became very rich. So rich, and he employed everybody, that they changed the name of the town from Charleston to Chryslerville. And a lot of people, including me, still call it Chryslerville. But later on, after they were gone, during the war, the anti-German bigotry, they didn't want anything with a German name too much, so they changed it back to Charleston. This house and the one that is gone, which was a mirror image of this, were built in about 1886 for two of his sons. This was Charles's house, Next door was Edward's house. They were mirror image homes. And Charles and Edward worked at the factory across the way.
Balthazar lived in a house on another part of the property. That's where he died in August of 1886 of natural causes. The Kreischer family had a fairly peaceful and happy time on the compound, except for one tragic event. In 1894, when Edward Kreischer took his own life at the factory across the road from the home his father built for him.
They didn't try to hide it. He shot himself, and his wife called the local doctor who lived in Tottenville, which is about 5 miles down the road. And he came and pronounced him dead.
By 1909, the Kreischers had left Staten Island behind for New Jersey. Charles's house is the only one remaining on the property, which changed hands several times and is currently owned by a real estate developer in California.
The only really sad thing, aside from Edward's suicide, would be the murder in 2005, I believe. That's all recent history, and that has nothing to do with the Kreischers. That was just unfortunate.
In 2005, a man named Joseph Young was living in the mansion as a caretaker. Federal investigators say in April of that year, he carried out a hit ordered by a mob soldier in the Bonanno crime family. The victim, Robert McKelvey, was a Bonanno associate. Investigators say Young, also known as Joe Black, stabbed McKelvey and drowned him in a pond on the property. He then cut up the body and burned it in the house's furnace. Young is serving life in prison without parole for the crime.
As far as hauntings, I don't really believe in it, so I can't really speak to that. But there's a lot of people that feel that they feel something. I don't think it would be Kreischers, because the Kreischers had a happy time here. But possibly with the last events that happened, who knows?
Well, I kind of wasn't always a believer till I started really catching a lot of stuff on my phone.
Rick Rispoli has been the caretaker of the Kreischer mansion for 2 years.
All right, guys, welcome to the Kreischer mansion. Let's take a walk inside. This is a thing they used to use in the 1800s called an encruster. It's a cross between leather and linoleum. They used to use a lot in the 1800s. They really don't use it these days, but it was done back then a lot. The house is kind of decorated now for the haunt at the Kreischer Mansion, which is a Halloween hayride and haunted house that we run through the whole month of October. Follow the arrows. Am I calling it the front parlor room? Is that the proper for the 1800s? This was the main parlor room from back in the 1800s. And also we got the Kreischer bricks. Yeah, you got a fireplace in every room. This is all done with the Kreischer bricks right in front of all the fireplaces. And this is the only Widow Peak that's outside. The other two were indoors. Right on the water was where the factory was.
During his time there, Rispoli says he's seen and heard many things he can't explain.
Actually, one incident, we were actually right here on the porch unloading chairs one night, about 12:30 at night, and we actually had a song come on the radio. My sister was here with me. We were unloading chairs, and she said, "Rick, the radio went on in the car." And I was like, "Okay." And then all of a sudden she said, "Here's my keys." We've caught orbs. We've actually caught orbs right here on the porch. Took 5 shots. The orbs moved in 5 different positions. There was 4 orbs moving straight right, kind of like in a circle. From one side of this door right here, straight down to the bottom to the other side. We've caught pictures of full bodies looking out the windows and full faces looking out the windows at us.
The Kreischer Mansion has been designated a landmark by New York City, which means it can't be torn down. The owner has had many plans for it over the years, which never materialized. But Rispoli says it could one day be turned into a museum. Because after years of reported hauntings, who would want to live here?
I've kind of got comfortable with it, to be honest with you. I come in here and it's not harmful. Nothing's been harmful at all. It's just been kind of freaky a little bit. But overall, I kind of got comfortable. The house wants to be treated, believe it or not, with respect. If you treat it with respect,
you